Hey guys, Mark from Gunpla Network, and today I'm back with another part of G-Rescue on my GM3 Beammaster. Today in part 4 we're going to look at adding some details. So you can see here on the desk in front of me I have some screw details. I think they're Kotobukiya from memory. I took the packaging off and now I can't remember, but Wave, Kotobukiya, they all make some some different types of parts that you can get. So these are a plastic screw detail that you can add and then paint. And I'd use that probably with an enamel. I'd be doing mine. So what you see in front of you, I've got the GM Type C shield, and the reason I'm using these here is because they come in different sizes. So there's 1.5, 2 and 3 millimeter. You can see the different part sizes there. Obviously the biggest ones maybe reserved for a master grade or some sort of big detail, but the others would suit a HGRG style setup. So I've cut a couple off. They come in 2 or 3 different designs. I'm going to use my parts tool just to open up the shield. Do this separated only because you don't want to drill through the shield. We just want to drill a hole to sit the bolt detail into, or screw detail. So what you do is you'll need part separator tool, hobby knife, tweezers, a pin vise, and obviously the screw detail option part. You can get photo etched, you can get all sorts of details. This is just the one I'm using. So I've measured out, I've found the hole, the part size. I think I'm using the 2.5 or the 3 millimeter here, and you just want to go ahead and drill out the location hole. For me, it's quite easy. It's already framed up on the front of the shield. It looks like it should have that in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw a couple of bolt detail parts in there. Once you've got it measured out, just check that you're doing it in the right location. Now with these, if you've got a deep enough spot, you don't have to drill all the way through. You can just put a drop of glue in there and sit it in, because this backs onto another detailed part that you're not going to see anyway. But for this one, what I am going to do is drill all the way through, which is on most of them. Now what you want to do is drill through, but not so much that the entire bolt will just fall through when you're trying to do that, because you have to put super glue or cement on the back here. So it might be a 2.5 millimeter bolt detail or a 2 millimeter. I would use a 1.9 or a 2.4, 2.3, something like that, just a size under. You don't want to go too big and go the whole way through, because you'll just push the bolt all the way through, or the screw detail part all the way through there. It might take a bit of persuasion. You might even need your hobby knife or a round file to be able to just tidy up the edging and get a little bit more plastic off. So there's your the bolt detail that I've gone with. It's more like a bolt than a screw. And all you want to do is this is just Loctite super glue that I use on bolt details like this one, because it sets quite firmly at the back in its own kind of, rather than just melting the super glue together, the plastics together. Plus with super glue, if you use a metal part, it sticks to it rather than just the cements, which are meant for plastics. So just be very careful when you're doing this part. If you use too much super glue, you just want to drop, which is why I'm using that bottle. Otherwise, if you put on too much, that's it. You can't take it back. It's very hard to clean off. You'll melt the plastics. You'll get crap everywhere. So that's it. That's all it is. Drill it in, one size under what you want, push it in, drop a super glue from the back, and you've got a bolt detail. Now we're going to move in. I want to add some vernier details. Now you can spend ridiculous amounts of money on photo etch parts. You can spend ridiculous amounts of money on option parts, plastic, metal, whatever. But I saw this on just around the internet. I think Ghost of Xeon, Scott, he did this one, and I'm sure plenty of others have done it as well. It's a really simple mod. You take IC sockets, the round style ones, which are meant for computer boards, electronics parts. You can find them at any your local electronics stores, and they'll come in these little runners like this, eBay, whatever, and then they pop out like that. That's what it looks like when it comes out of the black runner. So you drill a hole through, push it through, and that's it. Now you will need the pin vise again, you'll need some glue, you'll probably need your nippers, but you'll also need a way to cut the metal, which I have a pair of tin snips, like, you know, for cutting metal here on my desk as well. So what I've done is I've already positioned on the shoulders where I want that, and as you can see I'm lining it up through, so I've made one hole. The best way for me, I've figured, to mirror this hole is actually just to confirm I'm square as I'm going through, and then drill from this side. And it's all just whether you actually want these recessed fully in or if you want them sticking slightly out. Now they are a metal part, so I would paint and prime everything unless you wanted to change the chrome color. There you go. Pretty clean hole, and they line up. Now, like I said, so you don't need that back part really. You'll trim that down with something that you can cut metal with. Now, the best way to cut these out is to take your, you know, I have two pairs of nippers. I have one that I use for just straight building kits, and I have a pair that I use for anything else that I want to cut, plastics, whatever. Probably don't cut metal, they'll just blunt them. But just cut one away from the runner. They usually come in runners of 24 or 48. Now what you need to do is carefully, because you don't want to cut into the metal or scratch the metal, just squeeze the plastic in with the nipper, take it off, rotate it round, squeeze again, and you just want to break away the plastic. This can fly off in your face if you're not careful, so just wear glasses maybe if you're unsure. Safety glasses. And just be very careful not to cut your fingers, guys. Okay, and if you slowly go around and crush the plastic off, it breaks pretty easily, but these can fly off and you'll never find them once they hit the floor because they're really small. So, there you go. The top part's broken off, the bottom part there will just pull off. Hey, maybe you can even find a way to recycle the little black plastic if you get it off cleanly. There you put as another part on the kit, a bolt detail. But that's it, and you just push that in there, and there's your vernier detail, or mini thrusters. Now, you could use these this way, or you can turn them around the other way and stick them inside the thrusters on the backpack, which I'll also be doing at a later date. I'm obviously going to do that when I'm finished painting. That's just one kind of cheap you know, modification you can make. Like I said, those, I've seen them on eBay for as little as $3 for like 40 or 50 of them, and you might only use 6, 10 per kit maybe, I don't know, depends, go crazy. Just play with it, like any mods here at Gunpla Network we say, just practice. You really, no one is going to be able to teach this to you. It's great that I can show you these videos, but yeah, you just want to, you know, play around, get it right for yourself. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at another screw or bolt detail, but this time, instead of buying a wave option part or a metal etch part or something like that, you can actually use a seamstress pin. So when you go somewhere to get your pants taken up, or you know, they do any kind of curtains or anything like that, you can find these in your supermarkets, $2 stores. Yeah, it's just literally like a seamstress pin, and it's a really thin metal pin with a flat rivet style head on it. Now you need a piece that you're going to work on. You also then need to be able to measure what the pin is. The pins themselves, like I said, I think I paid about $2.40 at my local supermarket, Australian dollars, for a box of 200 of those, or 100, something like that. Ridiculously cheap. You need 2 size pin vices, drill bits for your pin vise, because what you want is you want a pilot hole, a hole that will push through for the actual pin part, but then you actually want, so that lines up there, you want a slightly bigger one for the head, because we're going to recess the heads down, because I don't want them sticking out. You know, for me personally, that's just what I'm feeling. So I'll show you how to do that, and your pin vise, obviously. So what we're going to do first, we're going to cut this down because that's just way, way, way too long. Don't use your nipper, they will just blunt them. Super glue you need. Just lock them in later. First up, I've already measured out with my caliper tool how big, and I found the appropriate drill bit. 1.4 millimeter, I think I'm using 1.5. And alright, what we want to do is, once you've marked out where you want this on your piece, I'm going to use the sides of the chest. You just need to take your hobby knife and use the tip to give yourself that starting point so that the pin vise doesn't slip and you scratch the plastic. We're then going to drill through. This is the hole for the actual body of the pin, the shaft to slide through. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to drill through all the way. Just be wary of what you're doing. It like you can see on this one, I'm actually doing it in line almost with where the I've had to sit back that far, because otherwise if I drill any further forward, I'm going to drill through into where the mesh cover will be, and obviously the mesh cover won't fit in properly, but then you would see a pin sticking through there, which just, I don't know, could look kind of mechanical, I guess, but not what I want. So look inside the piece, there's a in the body there's a line there for it, and I've drilled behind that line. There you go, you can push your pin through like that. Now obviously I know that's hitting through in there, so I'm just gonna cut that down. If you find a bit that is roughly about the same size as the head of the pin, not the body, and what we want to do is use that hole, but do not use too much pressure, do not go too hard. As you can see, I'm drilling very carefully here. All we're wanting to do is just rip up a little of that plastic and create an indent or countersink the head of the detail. So that'll give you the effect that it's actually drilled into the plastic. Use your sanding sticks to just clean that up a little, because twisting the plastic out obviously will have that effect. I'm just going to cut the pin down, so carefully between your fingers, and then break it. It needs to be really short, guys. It doesn't need to be too long at all. You will be throwing away most of the body of this stuff, but like I said, they're so cheap it doesn't matter. Unless you want to use those for pinning it into a diorama or something, you could use the leftover of the body. Okay, so I've cut that down, and now you can see if I drop that in, done. And that's it. That's all there is to it, guys. A few simple steps and then you can go crazy and put like bolt details all over your kit. I've made mine on the other side, and you can basically look in and measure it that way and see how it sits within the kit. I'll just, when I'm done after, I will put a drop of super glue in there. That brings me to the end of this tutorial, guys, and welcome to join me for part 5, and yeah, remember to subscribe, like, and keep watching on Gunpla Network. That's it for now. Bye bye.